All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another quick video. All right, y'all, back with my post-fight thoughts on last night's main event for INVICTA FC 52. Valesca Machado defending her belt for the first time against Danni McCormack. And first off, I got to say shout out to both of these ladies. You know, they definitely work hard. They definitely been putting that work in. Danni McCormack, you know, she's one of those raw, rugged fighters. I've been watching for a minute, you know, since I've been, you know, catching a few of her Bellator performances. And same with Machado, been watching her on the underground circuit. You know, she's been getting better as a fighter. And I know everybody going into this one thought that, you know, she had the skills and definitely the technique to go in there and show out and possibly, you know, put on a performance worthy enough to get a contract to the UFC, right? Because everybody knows Dana White, he was at this event last night, right? So it was on everybody to show up and show out. Because, you know, especially for the strawweight division, you know, it's always popping. So the majority of the fights on this card was strawweight. So, you know, everybody was, you know, looking to show out. I was hoping so, except for a couple of fights, right? But, yeah, man, Valesca Machado versus Danni McCormack. First off, I got to say, look, I love a fighter with great skills, man, but everybody knows that will overpower skill. Will's going to overpower skill. If somebody comes in here with the will to win and the drive and the hunger, you know, those natural abilities that you can't teach, the majority of the time that person is going to overcome. I mean, if you're just coming with skill, but if you don't have that dog and that IQ to just change up on the fly and say, I'm going to win by any means necessary, then usually you won't get that victory. And that's how it worked out in this fight. I mean, Valesca Machado, she showed skills throughout this fight. She showed a lot of good technique on her feet. But when it came down to it, Danni McCormack just wanted to win. And that's what it came down to. I mean, through the fire, through 2 knockdowns, through a broken nose, through a busted face, through all the blood, you know, Danni McCormack just continued to fight in the fashion that she wanted. Now, was it a very technical fashion? Like, was it UFC worthy? I mean, we'll talk about that here in a minute, but it was enough to pull off the victory. You know, it was enough to really get under the skin of Valesca Machado. I mean, the first round right away, I think we were all cheering on my fight companion. I was like, oh, you know, we were about to get a finish. You know, I thought we were going to get a solid knockout finish the way Valesca Machado was just blasting right hands down the pipe on an oncoming Danni McCormack. You know, that's Danni McCormack's style. Like I said, I've seen her fight before, and she's a very rugged fighter, lacking in defense. But, you know, what she makes up for in defense, she has in drive and just heart to get back up. And she got blasted 2 times in this round. I mean, knockdown one came from 2 straight right hands. The next one came from another straight right hand. But she got back up and stayed into the fight. Valesca Machado, I liked how she was mixing it up early in the first round, you know, with the left hooks. You know, she was planting the shot straight down the pipe. But somewhere along the line, towards the end of the round, she just let Danni McCormack start to clinch and hold and wrestle her to the cage. And that's the fashion that the fight went for like the next 3 rounds going into round 2. I mean, round 2 is where the tables turn. You know, Danni McCormack just latched on to like Valesca Machado like a leech. And she had no answer for this. Like, she wasn't really landing anything on the inside. Like, Valesca Machado would not initiate a tie clinch. It was like she didn't know how to get out and get these underhooks. Like, she couldn't get these underhooks, but she could barely create separation. Every now and then she would and go back to the center, and she would start like pot shotting Danni McCormack, landing good punches, right, and doing a lot of damage. But Danni McCormack just stayed into the fight. Like, and I think as the fight went on, you can see the body language and in the eyes of Tina Black that she started to slow down. Like, she wasn't expecting this type of fight. I think after she kind of blew her load in the first round of landing hard punches and dropping her, it kind of took her out of her momentum of saying, oh, all right, I can't get her out of here. But you always can't get a fighter out of there. I mean, you can if you just stick to a game plan of chopping them down, but her legs started to slow down as well. Like, she just started to slow down, like, with the footwork. She just started, like, letting Danni McCormack push her straight back into the cage, like, the next 2 rounds. Now, I know, like, I want to say it was, like, the 3rd round. It was probably, like, arguably could have gone to the champion, but it was just a lot of clinching where she was just slowed down and she couldn't get the same work in from the first round. Then same in the 4th and 5th. A couple of takedowns from Danni McCormack pretty much sealed the deal to me because she wasn't really doing much. You know, every time Danni McCormack would just lay on her on the cage, she was putting that weight on her. She was putting that weight on her, and there was no change up from Valesca Machado. Valesca Machado wanted to strike and end the fight, but she didn't just like go back to basics here and just pick her off with a jab and land these little calf kicks. Like, barely saw any calf kicks from Valesca Machado. And I mean, that would have been the best bet, like calf kicks and like good, teep kicks to the stomach to create separation, because Danni McCormack was just shooting in. Danni McCormack was really just shooting in. I mean, she grabbed for a single leg every now and then on Machado, but Machado had good takedown defense. Like, when her leg would get caught, she would spin her around and like stay on the feet. Like, that's the reason it was hard for, Danni McCormack to get the fight to the ground. So she would just resort to laying on her and just wrestling her because of the takedown defense of Valesca Machado. But really, when it came down to it, it just was a lot of holding moments and clinching moments in this fight from Danni McCormack. Just, scoring on the inside, laying on her and getting these takedowns and getting full control in the clinch that way. But, hey, you got to do what you got to do. And when it comes down to it, shout out to Danni McCormack. She got the victory. She stuck to a game plan and said, you know what, I want to win. And that's what a fighter does. A fighter doesn't always go by a game plan. Fighters don't come in with game plans. They just know how to fight, like whatever the situation calls for. Like, if I get dropped and my nose is busted, you know what, I'm gonna jump on this person and take them down and just lay on them and beat them up on the inside, right? Because I want to take away that person's weapons. And that's what fighting is about. Fighting, when it comes down to it, showing that fight IQ is about taking away your opponent's strengths. And that's what she did. Valesca Machado just really needed to show that level of wrestling and even just like a variety of strikes. Like, after she was done landing like the left hooks and right hands, she wouldn't mix it up with much of anything else. Like, no head kicks, not enough just kicks to the body, period. So I just got to say, she's got to get that work in now. She's really got to go back to the drawing board and get that work in. But moving on from here, as far as UFC contract for either of these fighters, of course not for Valesca Machado. She just lost her belt, and she just showed that level of how bad she would look if she was against any of these wrestlers and grapplers in the UFC, because she got planted on her back by Danni McCormack, who's not really known as like this solid grappler, you know what I mean? And as for Danni McCormack, she was leading a lot with her face in there, man. I mean, shout out to her, but for her level, I want to see her defend her belt a few more times and make some changes. If she can keep this belt, I want to see her hold the belt for a while and make some improvements, because she came out looking like she'd been through a meat grinder. I mean, she won the fight, but, if Dana's watching closely, if he just wants like a big Ireland fan base to follow Danni McCormack, then more power to him. He'll probably sign her, right? But if you were asking me, I don't think she's ready to be signed yet, because she was taking a bad beating in this fight. She just really dug deep in the trenches to win this fight. You know what I mean? So it was good on the Invicta level, but as far as UFC, I don't think either one of these fighters can be signed to the UFC right now. That's just my honest opinion, honest analysis off of what I've seen in this fight. But let me know, guys, what y'all think. But when it comes down to it, man, this is what life is about sometimes, man. You get knocked down 2 times or more, and you got to get back up. Sometimes you get knocked down multiple times and your vision's blurry, or you're bleeding or whatever. Your will is on the edge, but as long as you keep it, man, you can stay in it. So this fight was a good lesson in that. It was a good life lesson in that. Like, you could come back from getting dropped, multiple times in life, and just keep on pushing until you get it, right? But let me know, guys, what y'all thought of the fight. Do you think Danni McCormack gets signed by the UFC? We'll talk more about the whole card tonight. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.